Hello, Mordarim here. So I started a Lightning Storm Druid and had quite a good experience with it. Got to the end game, am level 53, and started to blast through dungeons now. So that's what I'm going to show you. The clips in the background, the B-roll footage, is from tier 1 and tier 2 nightmares, where I am a few levels below them. The basics of this are you group up enemies into packs, pop Blood Hall for a chunk of crit if you have the legendary, charge up your Lightning Storm and start blasting. Now, compared to my leveling guide, I dropped Cataclysm for Petrify. Because of issues with the lighting, it flickered and made me feel not well, so I dropped it. Not a good skill regardless. Doesn't have much damage, doesn't have much lucky hit chance. It's just not good. Now compared to this, Petrified provides us with CC, additional crit damage, additional spirit generation on kill, so a bunch of stuff we want to look out for. Especially the CC is very important during dungeons, later dungeons. You get blasted constantly with a lot of enemies and you need to charge up your Lightning Storm, so that comes in very handy. Now looking at the spirit generation specifically here, it's not an issue anymore for this build, especially when you get Earthen Might with the Earthen Might legendary power and the Mother's Embrace unique. A quick explanation for Earthen Might: it lets us proc on storm skills. This one has a very low chance, but crits and immobilize help with it. Each lightning strike has its own chance to proc it on hit. It also immobilizes enemies. We have two chances for this, one lucky hit and one from the base skill, and whenever we crit and hit an immobilized target, the chance increases from 5% to 15%. I'm not entirely sure if this one doesn't stack, so maybe it's 25% when we hit and crit an immobilized target, but currently I'm going off with 15%. Now this gives us a lot of potential chances for it to go off, and when it goes off, it boosts our damage to new heights. It's 100% crit chance buff for 5 seconds and refills our spirit. This is just insane. There is nothing better than this in the Keystones currently. It is currently not possible to get 100% crit chance with your gear. 30 is the limit, so having that 100% crit chance means your crit damage is translated to additional damage, to a multiplier, to a fixed multiplier on all your stuff. And we combine this with Mother's Embrace that refunds spirit whenever we hit 5 or more enemies. This coupled with the spirit we gain from Blood Hall and Trample consistently makes up fill up our spirit reserves, and this makes us clear stuff very comfortably. However, I'm still using Wind Shear at the moment because we need to generate more spirit during boss fights. Boss fights are a bit troublesome for this build because we cannot really use the 5 charges here. We need to scale down to 2 or 3 to hit the boss consistently with multiple strikes. If we overcharge the Lightning Storm, we are only going to hit the boss with 1 lightning strike consistently, and this is really bad for DPS. Now when the boss starts to summon adds, that's where we shine. We can charge up our Lightning Storm more, stack up the boss with those adds and get to AoEing them down. This also gives us more chances to proc Earthen Might and refunds our spirit through the unique. And once we get to proc Earthen Might, we are completely destroying the boss. We can just pop Petrify for a 50% crit damage boost, which is very, very strong early on since we do not have many sources for it, and we can blast through them without any issues. Now druids are a bit on the slower side, so movement speed was an issue for this, but it solved itself by upgrading my gear. I have multiple sources of movement speed on my gear. I have the Digigrade Gate to get another 9%. I have my Ghost Walker aspect, which gives me another 10%, so I can boost this one to 25%, and Trample also helps quite a lot. We also use boots that give us 65% movement speed whenever we evade, so this one caps us out to 200%, at least for 1 second, and we blast through dungeons without any problems. It's very fast, not as fast as for example a rogue with constant dashes, but you get to a decent speed. Next I want to talk a bit about the defenses of this build. Since we are using Wind Shear, we want to grab the damage reduction on basic skills. This helps quite a lot with survivability. Next we want the Earthen Bulwark imprint, so this one is the Manning Stone aspect. It increases the duration of Earthen Bulwark by 6 seconds to 9 seconds, and every kill we do replenishes the barrier. This one however has a few issues. The first one is we are not permanently unstoppable. Sadly that's not the case. Whenever we drop our barrier to 0, we cannot replenish it, we lose unstoppable, we lose the barrier, and we cannot use Earthen Bulwark for quite a while. So we need another source of unstoppable, and that's where Trample comes in. Very important to have at least 2 sources on the druid, because you're slow, you cannot really evade stuff. So I died 2 times on this druid because I used both my unstoppables and couldn't get out of CC in time. Very annoying, wouldn't recommend doing on a hardcore character. My gloves are nothing special, I run 2 ranks of Lightning Storm on them, and that's about it. The increased attack speed is not very important for this build. On my pants, a lot of damage reduction when we are fortified, just flat damage reduction, and when enemies are poisoned. We never poison, so this one is a dead affix. But we get the imprint with 50% max roll, very strong. For this build, we hit a lot of targets very fast, so we can stack this one up very consistently. Ghostwalker aspect for the boots gives us a little bit of movement speed all the time. We have spirit cost reduction, movement speed on this one, and evade grants us additional movement speed. Nothing particularly great otherwise on this one. For the amulet, a little bit of movement speed, spirit cost reduction, storm skill damage, and the Earthenmight Keystone passive. We get the Mother's Embrace unique. This one I got from the main story quest after finishing with the last boss. Very strong for this build. I would highly recommend using this one, especially on AoE builds that struggle with spirit generation. The refund is just great. And the last one is Bloodhall gives us a little bit of crit. 10 crit doesn't seem that much, but this is 2 affixes on gear currently. So a very strong one. I want to exchange this one for the Lightning Storm aspect, but I haven't found it yet. Very rare, seems to be very rare at least. So not much luck there. We have additional vulnerable damage on this one. We have willpower, which is another multiplier. We have core skill damage, which is really great. And we have damage versus controlled enemies. Doesn't do much because we need to stagger bosses. But when we petrify or immobilize normal enemies, this one acts as an increase. As for the spirit boons, we get reduced damage versus elites, a little bit of crit. We get the energize passive. We hit a lot of targets with a 15% chance, so we recover quite a lot of spirit. We get bolster to get fortify on our defenses, meaning whenever we bloodhall and whenever we Earthen Bulwark, we get additional fortification on our health bar. This works quite nicely. With just Earthen Bulwark and bloodhall, we get to around 40%, so that's great. And for the last passive I picked Overload for a bit more damage. I'm not particularly fond of this one. We have enough damage already, so it's probably not the greatest. Calm Before the Storm is another option. I am not particularly fond of this one because of the low chance to proc, but at this point I would probably switch to it because Petrify is a very strong damage boost, and you should probably have some kind of hard TC to root them or to disable them. As for the passives, I took out 1 point in Abundance and took out 3 points in Clarity. I also changed from Endless Tempest because we don't use Hurricane or Cataclysm, and picked up Charged Atmosphere. It's an 18% cooldown on this one. It's 1 lightning strike, not much damage, not a very good passive, but it can help with barriers. So it destroys barriers constantly, resets on killing barriers. Very weird, but it helps. In exchange for this one, we grabbed the Digigrade Gate for 9% movement speed and 3% after we leave werewolf form. So whenever we use Bloodhall, we get a movement speed buff. Very strong. Only source of movement speed on the Druid tree. And we also get Natural Fortitude for a 3% additional Fortify buff whenever we use one of our Shapeshift ability, meaning Trample or Bloodhall. Not much, but the Fortify, especially early, helped quite a lot. As for the Paragon board, there is nothing special right now. We path through the damage node here, and I'm currently in the midst of grabbing all those dexterity nodes and pathing back through the damage node here to grab constricting tendrils on our board. Now this sums up my showcase for the Lightning Storm Druid. I'm having a blast with this game, and I will be playing a lot more after finishing the recording. So if you liked the content you saw, make sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe. It really helps me out. See you next time, and bye.